What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. This story's called Lady Wants Me to Fix Gas Pump. Before I begin, I just found this sub and I'm loving it. What I'm going to share isn't as dramatic as some, but did happen last week. I took my Escape to the local Ford shop outside the dealership to get my oil changed. I go in, and I sort of vaguely know the guy behind the counter. I tell him what I need. He says it'll be about 45 minutes total. Cool, I'll wait in their little waiting area. I barely got myself sat down when an older lady rushes in and, for reasons completely unknown to me, starts complaining about gas pump 3. But she's the type that is flighty and going to keep talking right on over you. So she starts talking. "Oh, I'm sorry, I managed to say before she goes on and on about the little hook thingy on the end of the deal, you know, and she can't let it go, but that little hook thingy, etc, etc. I know nothing about gas pump maintenance, but her rapid-fire meandering descriptions weren't doing anyone any favors. An overly excitable parakeet came to mind. Sensing the briefest of lulls in her ramblings, I said, "I'm sorry, I don't work here." Naturally, she starts chirping again as I'm saying the word work. She's looking off in every direction at every person waiting for their cars, at the guy behind the counter just chittering away, saying a lot without ever really saying anything, you know? Mostly, this is directed at me, but she's pivoting her head and just talking to the whole room. There was nothing wrong with her, just one of those elder Karens who emotes a level 10 fret over a level 2 issue. She ends it all by looking directly at me and saying, pump 3, thank you." Then she walks back out to her car at the gas pump. Guy at the counter needs some more info from me because since the last time I was there, I got a new car, but I also moved. After our exchange, I kinda patted the counter forcefully and said, as if I were his boss, "And if one of you could get on pump 3, that'd be great." We had a chuckle and I sat back down. Lady comes parakeeting up toward the door again, and I took a deep breath, ready to tell her that I don't work there. She doesn't come in, but looks directly at me, sitting in a chair, then parakeets back to her car and stands there. A mechanic came in from the shop. Guy behind the counter tells the story as best as he could with what little information the lady gave. He says he'll take a look ASAP. They were busy. It was 2 days before Thanksgiving, assuming people were getting their cars checked before travel. Also, it had just snowed, so maybe winterization. And I also don't think he knew there was a lady actually out there. I can see her pacing around like a maniac, craning her head and looking at the storefront. Counter guy is run ragged booking new people in and going over the bills with others they had finished. Cue me getting an important phone call about my disabled mother's SSI benefits. It was just a number, so I answered it inside. But once I realized its importance, I took it outside. As I'm telling the SSI rep to hold on a sec, lady comes back in, looks at me with daggers in her eyes. She's simply aghast. I make it a point to tell the SSI rep that I was at the shop getting my car worked on, hoping that would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let them know why I needed a sec, and let Parakeet know that I didn't work there. As I'm walking out the door, I hear her just exclaim, "And now he's on the phone, unbelievable!" She storms out after me. I think because she thinks I'm heading to her car and pump 3. Obviously I'm not. I continue off the property across a small access road and into an empty lot next door. I'll take the call with delicate personal information while also having a cigarette, I figured. All in all, I'm, 100 feet away. Lady starts storming my direction, gets about halfway there, and throws up her arms in disgust, like she's waiting for me to notice her. Finally, she turns on her heels and stomps back to her car, paces around it, stares at me, looks at the store. Finally, one of the mechanics goes out there. I obviously couldn't hear them, and I was preoccupied with my call anyway. I did see him do something at the pump, which took a millisecond, and the rest of the time she was clearly angrily animated, talking at him while gesturing and occasionally looking at me. She fills up her car and leaves by the access road I crossed. I get daggers from her as she drives past me. I get done with my call and go back in. The mechanic and the counter guy are both talking, so I asked what her deal was. She didn't pull up the little lever that would activate the gas pump. She was just trying to pump gas to no avail. Facepalm. But the mechanic goes, "She really hates you." He goes on to say how she read him the riot act over me. I was lazy, incompetent, and more preoccupied with my phone and going on break than I was with helping her. She ended it with demanding I be fired, or she'd take her business elsewhere. Counter guy says, "So, sorry, but we're gonna have to let you go." Damn, we laughed hard about that. She was so concerned with filling up her car, she never stopped to think maybe she should fill up her head with knowledge. This story's called I Don't Work Here Anymore, but good memory. This happened just yesterday, and I remembered I had this account, so here we go. I used to work as a sales advisor for a company that does basically free samples. If you've ever shopped in a Costco, Sam's Club, etc., you've seen us. I quit about 6 months ago and have been in culinary school for quite a while since. We wear a uniform when we have important events, and I was wearing my chef's jacket that has my name sewn in, so I can see why they thought I might have worked there at first. Here's the cast. Me, lady with good memory, ex-boss. I was getting a couple ingredients from the store I used to work at, and this was after a final, so I was exhausted. I had put my cart aside and was looking at what ice cream to get when I heard some strange guttural noises from behind me. I turn around and it apparently was a lady clearing her throat, or had a hairball, I can't tell. "I'd like to make a complaint about one of the employees." I default to what I used to say when I worked here. If it's for one of the Costco, Sam's Club, etc. employees, go to the office that way. But one of the demo people, their office is, "Don't try and pass this off to someone else, take some initiative." At this point, I'm surprised because I thought she just said I worked there. I decided to correct her. "I don't work here, I just go to culinary school." Lady with good memory seems offended. "Don't lie to me, I've seen you behind those carts. You're my name, aren't you?" I thought she was just looking at my jacket, but I realized that she said my real name. My jacket has my middle name, which I prefer on it. So she actually remembers me from when I worked there. Go figure. "Sorry ma'am, I don't work here anymore. If you want, You know what I want. I have a complaint about you too now. Come on, you're coming with me to the office." At this point, I feel spiteful, and couldn't hurt to say hi to ex-boss, since we're still buds and play D&D occasionally. So I grab my cart and lead the way. "Grabbing a random cart isn't helping your case." And then she says, totally uncalled for slur for a homosexual. Okay, that woke me up. I'm not gay, but my boyfriend is, so I was instantly seething inside. We get to the office and walk in on ex-boss on a speakerphone call. Lady with good memory wastes no time. "Excuse me, I'd like to file a complaint on 2 of your employees." Ex-boss looks over at the phone, puts the person on hold, and notices that I'm there too, and seems confused. "What seems to be the problem?" "One of your employees isn't using gloves or even unwrapping what they're serving, and the young man with me refused to help or speak to her." Ex-boss looks at me and seems to realize what's going on. She says, "Do you know who the employee without gloves was?" "Yes, it was the one handing out chocolate." "Those are already wrapped and don't require gloves because of that. They actually have to keep the wrapper on because it contains peanuts, so that keeps them safe." Lady with good memory looks a bit deflated, but then points at me and says, "Well, he tried to pretend he doesn't work here, he just ignored me." Ex-boss wasted no time. "That's because he doesn't. He quit about a half a year ago. He's just a customer here." Lady with good memory is thrown for a loop. She seems like someone just told her that the customer isn't always right. I decide to capitalize on this. I'd like to make a complaint on one of the customers. Lady with good memory is shocked, but ex-boss asked me to continue. This woman called me a slur and refused to let me continue on my shopping. Lady with good memory has her mouth open, sputtering, "I did it, you did, I would never." Ex-boss smiles at me and says, "I'm sorry for the trouble she caused you. Would you like to file anything?" Lady with good memory at this point storms out, walking away towards the door, with her basket still in hand. We see security stop her and share a laugh, and ex-boss and I chat for a bit about when the next D&D session is. This story's called, I'm Not Santa's Elf, I am just lost on the way to get Christmas card photos. The other day, my mother wanted my siblings and I to do Christmas card photos. She had a nice list of what she wanted, and while it annoyed us, it always does make her happy when we pose for Christmas card photos as a nice family. This year, she wanted us to dress like elves. Well, us kids anyways. So I got into my elf costume. It's Christmas time, and I have seen a lot of stranger stuff than a wandering elf this time of year. So I head to the mall. I am late. I rush up and look for the directory to see if I can find the photo place on it. Yeah, should have been on time. I'm trying to figure out the location when I hear someone clearing their throat. I shuffle over a bit. Maybe I'm blocking the view. The throat clearing again. Maybe the person is sick? I reach into my coat pocket. Need a cough drop? I asked as I turned, holding up a cough drop. There was a rather annoyed-looking woman. About time! Where is Santa? Demanded the woman. Excuse me? I replied, confused. Where is Santa? Snapped the woman. The North Pole? Downstairs? Out to lunch? On a date with Mrs. How should I know? I said as I listed random things as I thought of them. The woman crossed her arms. Seriously, are you just trying to mess with me? Growled the woman. That was when I noticed the small little girl dressed to the nines next to her. No, I am an elf. You should know where Santa is. He isn't downstairs and we are in a hurry. Call him. My daughter wants to see him, growled the woman. I looked at this woman and to the little girl. I didn't want to burst the little girl's bubble, but I didn't have time to deal with this. Oh, sorry, miss. You got the wrong division of elf. I'm not part of the appearances or guard duty, miss. So I don't deal with Santa. I'm in charge of the reindeer. Vixen is picky and I was gonna pick her up a treat, so I was trying to find the store on here for reindeer. You know, this place isn't very reindeer friendly. I started and began to yammer on about reindeer as I shuffled around the sign. Well, I would love to stay in chat, but if I slouch off, Mrs. Claus will have my hide. Toodles, I said, and then I legged it out of there. I could hear her yell after me, but I didn't look back. After a bit, I found the photo studio and we took the photos. I told my siblings about the whole thing, and my bro had this to say. Your own dumb fault for dressing like an elf. Maybe I am at fault. Okay, we gotta appreciate the improv efforts this guy went to make sure he didn't stop this little girl from believing in Santa Claus. You gotta appreciate things like that. This guy's pretty cool. I'd be friends with him. Toodles. Who says that? It's like the Disney Channel family TV show. Well, I would love to stay in chat, but Toodles. Come on, guy, you're funny. This story's called Filthy Factory Worker, Me, Mistaken for a Convenience Store Worker. So let's start off by saying filthy is an understatement. I work in a foundry that takes huge 2-ton slabs of aluminum and turns them into car parts. I do one part of the inspection where they get dipped in acid green goo that glows under a black light. I am covered in green goo, black marker, and tons of rust stains. Ripped up jeans, and nasty steel-toe boots that look like they belong to the Swamp Thing. A very tattered gray hoodie, hair in shambles and falling from my messy bun. I probably also smell awful. I'm scent blind to that place now, but I remember it turning my stomach when I first started. The workers here wear black dress pants, nice quality black polos with the store logo neatly embroidered in bright yellow and large yellow name tags. I stopped by the store for some tape to wrap some more Christmas gifts, texting with my husband as I sent him a picture of the single rolls of name brand tape that cost $2.95. How in the world? That's the price of convenience, I guess. As I'm snapping the picture, I heard a grunt and a loud throat clearing. I figure I was in the way and stand off to the side as I send the text. When I finish and look up, however, this smartly dressed, middle-aged bottle blonde lady is just glaring at me. Arms crossed, foot tapping. You work here, right? You look like you work here. No, I look like I work in a swamp. But it's a factory, actually, thank you. I proceed to just walk away as my phone chirps in hand to let me know my husband had replied. I look and see he reminded me they probably have a holiday section. Maybe I could find some cheaper tape. So I wander about a bit looking. And yes, some off-brand tape for $1. I'll take 3. I grab them and turn around. nearly running into Karen. "Don't just walk away from me. Where is your manager? You're being very rude. I pay your paycheck. Your job is to help me. What kind of store lets employees play on their phones?" I'm actually laughing at this point, and not a fan of confrontation. I just shake my head and walk away, up to the register. She follows on my heels, mumbling and huffing. She shouted over my shoulder at the young girl on the register to get her manager immediately. Well, manager was just around the corner luckily and very quickly swooped in. "What can I help you ladies with today?" I guess since she was standing in my personal bubble, we looked to be shopping together. Karen lost it though. "It's just me. She won't help me. You need to write this lazy, rude girl up. She wouldn't help me." Screeching and whining like a toddler, manager, meanwhile, just looks baffled and asks for some clarity. Did she mean the girl behind the register or filthy, obviously not in dress code, me? Me, of course. I just took her attention being turned to the manager for the moment to have the cashier ring me up. Turned around and said, "Don't worry, lady. As of this moment, I quit. You win." She just stared after me, slack-jawed in rage and confusion. I was surprised she kept her hands to herself, but then again, I am filthy, so maybe not too surprised. So I'm curious, I'm wondering if entitled people just see worker, okay? They're just like, okay, that person's a worker, so they must work here. Kind of like how, people might say all people of a certain race might look identical. And so they're just like, "Hey, all you working peeps all look the same to me," they say at they say to a Wendy's employee who's at McDonald's on a lunch break. Funny. I don't know, that's just my interpretation of how stupid people are. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.